Everyone's heard of the millionaire's wife who cheated with the pool boy, but what about me, 36 male, the wage, and the wife, 41 female, with her son's friend, 18 male? To begin, I'll work my way backwards through this deluge of information. Dashcams for my work car and my wife's van were among the purchases I made. The same model, features, and storage capacities are available, as well as autosave in response to shock events. It doesn't seem to make any difference. By the time my camera gave me the format data soon warning on Monday morning, the permanent storage had almost reached capacity due to the hefty bumps and door bangs that had accumulated over the weekend. As for my wife's, I figured it was probably full by now as well, so when I get home, I'll clear it out for her as a gesture of being a kind husband. I even called her to let her know what was going on. Following a little period of resting, the first thing I did when I returned home was begin working on cleaning the camera. It's a straightforward procedure. A handful of keystrokes and a reformat clear everything away at once. It had been over a year since my wife had shown a lack of interest in knowing how to use it, no matter how many times I had to clear it and wanted her to know how. So I simply start going through the ones I'm familiar with, like in front of the home or in front of Walmart, and she discovers that there is recorded sound in the background. She was under the impression that I had turned off the microphone and chose to turn it off herself. I informed her that it was not a major issue, but she continued to take it away from me. Especially given the fact that she discovered how to remove the usual loop folder, this raises some red lights for her. The moment I get possession of my belongings, she begins crawling all over me, threatening to break my Apple Watch if I do not return it, and promising to tell me the truth if I do return it. After approximately 10 minutes, she confides in me that she has decided to allow her son and his friends drive the van in a park, to which I answer that it isn't a big deal. Another story related to cannabis use while driving a motor vehicle, which was amusing. I had a sneaking suspicion it wasn't the case, and then I heard the words, "I'm cheating on you." After more research, she revealed me that she had a desperate moment and kissed her son's friend, and that he was the one who intervened and prevented the incident from occurring. Yes, I was outraged at the time. Another deception was perpetrated on me. This young man, who had just reached 18M, was staying with us since his family had pushed him to leave. I informed her that I had serious reservations about his being in the country for months at a time. After telling him to pack his stuff and go, I'm using all of my willpower to keep myself under control. This was even after he said, "I her beautifully as well." We had 2 children together, and it is only because of them that I was able to keep my head from popping off. Initially, I thought the phrase meant something as simple as antagonizing, but after analyzing the recorded data, I learned that it was more than just an accidental kiss. Her knowledge of his liaisons was widespread among his friends, and she had even participated in a couple of great sessions with one of his pals. Before I discovered the whole truth, she was in such misery that I was tempted to let her child and his friend back into the house out of compassion and to make her feel better. She hasn't decided what she wants to accomplish with her life anymore. Currently, we're in the process of an internal divorce, and she hasn't said whether or not she intends to pursue a relationship with him any further. Our eldest child is 5 years older than our youngest. She referred to him as almost like a son to her. There's a lot more to this story than just what happened right here. We've been in a relationship for 15 years. I was 21 years old, and she was 26 years old at the time. I had a relationship with her. A lot deal, in fact. I spent a lot of time with my ex-girlfriend and her cousin over the first 2 years of our relationship. It was best characterized as young, foolish, and all that. You get the picture. We met because she was in the process of divorcing her husband at the time of our meeting. Her pregnancy with my son resulted in our marriage, which took place a few months after he was born. We've been trying to work things out for a long time, and I can honestly say that I haven't had any relations with anybody else since we were married. Her, on the other hand, has cheated on me twice. Once after our daughter was born with a guy she knew from high school who claimed to go to the gym, and once before our daughter was born with a man she knew from high school who pretended to go to the gym. It seems that she had gotten in some decent workout. The problem is as follows. I should be outraged at this point. I should be cold-hearted and go without saying anything. I should just pack up the kids, the car, and the rent money and get out of town. But I'm worried I won't be able to. Because of some ridiculous reason, I still admire her and it's hurting me. She is apparently taking some time for herself in order to determine if she wants to remain with me, be single, find someone else, or create a stronger relationship with this child. I'd hardly given it a second thought until I realized how severely I'd been hurt. My whole being, including my thoughts and suffering, is concentrated on seeing her at this point in time. I want to comfort her, relieve her of all of her suffering, and generally make things better for her. Should I just walk away and leave her alone, or should I leave her with this child? Alternatively, should I stay and wait for her to make up her decision, even knowing it is possible that it will not be me? Apart from our children, we are also tied by the usual suspects such as bank accounts, insurance, policies, and a car that won't be paid off until May 2022, to name a few. Despite the fact that my friend believes I'm insane for wanting to stay with her. And I agree, she is everything I've ever wanted in a woman, other than the infidelity part, of course. Update. After about a month, I've come to my senses and realized there's nothing I can do to save the situation. My 15-year-old discretions were never stretched, and despite my best efforts, she did not feel loved and wanted by me or others. My self-loathing continued throughout this period, and it was only afterwards that I realized it was not my fault. This was her decision, and although it may have been influenced by previous grief, it was her decision. Our conversations about it all, and the suffering we both experienced over the years, have taken place in recent weeks, and we're both apologetic. I found it almost comforting to hear how much she regretted her decision and the process she went through to get at it. Unfortunately, due to practical considerations, we, myself, wife, and stepson, are all forced to live in the same home since she hasn't worked in over a decade, and because of the present pandemic. I realize it sounds ridiculous, but I'm still head over heels in love with her. Let me be clear. I no longer want to be with her, yet she has accounted for around 40% of my life. We're working on the big issues that will be settled once the lockdowns are lifted, such as her own apartment, job, insurance, phone plans, bank accounts, and other financial matters, among other things. I'm fortunate in that she isn't the I'll take it all half kind. Given that I'm still making payments on the car, I'll be handing it over to her for the time being. Her son's role in all of this has not gone unnoticed, and as a result, I have removed him off our family's telephone plan. Our children are just faintly aware of what is about to take place, and they are dealing with it as best they can given their ages. I'm still a shambles, but I'm emerging from this experience with a fresh outlook on life. If it hadn't been for my 20-year-old friend, I could have found a more efficient way to complete a short excursion. At this point, the only stumbling obstacle is the unpleasantness that comes with ordinary interactions.